McHale wore an ensign's uniform, Parker acted as a lowly seaman, and Gruber donned McHale's best khakis, complete with a chest full of borrowed medals. Ginger arrived, a vivacious redhead who was clearly impressed by Commander Gruber's authority. "Oh, Lester, you've done so well for yourself." The problem arose when a real Commodore, Norcross, from the British Navy, arrived unannounced to inspect the brilliant Commander McHale. The confusion was legendary. Gruber was trying to command the Commodore, McHale was trying to take orders from Gruber, and Binghamton was having a nervous breakdown in the background. "Why is that seaman giving orders to the commander?" "It's a new American tactical experiment, sir," Parker stammered. "Reverse psychology leadership." In the end, Ginger discovered the truth. But to Gruber's surprise, she didn't care. "Lester, I don't love a rank. I love the man who sent me those funny letters." McHale watched them from the pier, feeling a pang of envy. He looked toward the infirmary, where Sarah was likely finishing her shift. He realized that the masks they all wore, officer, nurse, sailor, mattered far less than the hearts underneath. Chapter 8. The Payroll of Noumea. The war moved closer, and the stakes reached their zenith. The 73 boat was sent to the French territory of New Caledonia to pick up the $62,000 base payroll. It was a massive sum, and Binghamton had set a final trap, hoping the crew would succumb to the temptation of such a fortune. "If a single dollar is missing, McHale, you're all heading to the gallows," Binghamton warned. But tragedy struck when the crew was ambushed in the narrow streets of Noumea by a group of local thieves who had been tipped off. Parker was knocked unconscious, and the money was stolen. "I lost it, Skip," Parker sobbed when he came to in a dark alley. "I lost the payroll. They're going to hang me." "Nobody's hanging anybody," McHale said, his voice cold and dangerous. This wasn't a game anymore. This was his men's lives. They tracked the thieves through the winding, salt-scented streets of the city. It was a race against time, with Binghamton and the local police hot on their heels. McHale used every trick in his book, using a distinctive heart-shaped birthmark on a girl's ankle as a clue to find the hideout and a malfunctioning antique cannon as a distraction to flush out the criminals. In the end, they recovered the money in the middle of a sudden Japanese air raid. Amidst the explosions and the whistling of falling bombs, McHale and his men fought not for the money, but for the honor of the 73. As the smoke cleared over Noumea, McHale stood on the deck of the 73, watching the sunset bleed across the harbor. Sarah was there, having been sent on the transport plane to assist with the casualties from the raid. "It's over," she said, leaning her head on his shoulder. "Binghamton can't touch you now. Rafferty heard about the raid and how you saved the payroll under fire. You're being decorated for valor." "I don't want a medal, Sarah," McHale said, turning to her. The war was in his eyes, tired and deep. "The war is moving north. We're leaving Taratupa. The 73 is heading to the front lines." Her eyes filled with tears, reflecting the orange light of the dying sun. "I know. The nursing unit is being reassigned to a hospital ship. I'm coming back for you," he promised, his voice a low growl of determination. "No matter how many admirals, thieves, or alligators get in the way, you're the only peace I've found in this whole damn ocean." Under the shadow of the great guns of the harbor, Quinton McHale kissed Sarah Wilson. It was a kiss that tasted of salt, diesel, and the future a promise kept against the turning tides of a world at war. Epilogue. The calm after the storm. Years later, on a quiet, sun-drenched beach in the Florida Keys, an old man with a battered captain's hat sat in a rocking chair, watching the pelicans dive. Beside him, a woman with silver hair and eyes that still held the color of the Pacific read a book, a small smile playing on her lips. On the table between them sat a framed, faded photograph of a salt-stained PT boat and a group of grinning, ragged sailors. In the backyard, near a small pond, a very old, very fat alligator named Sydney basked in the sun, probably dreaming of peanut butter. The world had moved on, and the names of Taratupa and McHale had faded into history books. But for the two of them, the scent of frangipani still lingered in the warm breeze. A reminder that love, like the tide, always finds its way home. The End, Tides of Taratupa, a novel of the Pacific. Chapter 1. The Garter Belt Gambit. The sun over Taratupa was a relentless gold coin, melting into the horizon of the Solomon Sea, casting long, bruised shadows across the makeshift airstrip and the palm-fringed lagoon. For Captain Wallace B. Binghamton, however, the tropical beauty was merely a backdrop to a mounting migraine that felt like a rhythmic drumbeat behind his eyes. He sat in his humid office, the overhead fan churning the heavy air without cooling it, merely recirculating the scent of salt, diesel, and desperation. Wow, 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 he muttered, his voice a rasp of pure, unadulterated exasperation. He looked up at the nervous supply officer standing before him. The man was clutching a requisition form as if it were a holy relic, his knuckles white. Garter belts. Binghamton exploded, slamming his hand onto the desk, sending a cloud of dust and stray papers fluttering. If the nurses need garter belts, then you snap to it. I mean, you shake a leg. You know what I mean. We are fighting a war, and I have nurses complaining about their hosiery? It's a disgrace. Binghamton rubbed his temples, feeling the pulse of his blood. In the distance, the roar of the PT-73's engines echoed across the lagoon, a sound that usually signaled trouble. He hated that sound. It was the sound of Quinton McHale and his band of merry pirates, living like kings on their own private island while he suffered the indignities of bureaucracy. Sir, his aide, Lieutenant Carpenter, burst in, looking as though he'd just witnessed a torpedo hit the mess hall. I just got a message from a pal of mine at Comfleet. Admiral Rafferty is arriving today on a sneak inspection. Binghamton turned a shade of gray that matched his uniform. Iron Pants Rafferty? Coming here? Now? Do you realize what a mess this place is in? The sinks in the Petty Officers Club are backing up. I'm the commanding officer here, not a plumber. And the nurses, the garter belts, the logistics are a nightmare. He clutched his stomach as a sharp pain bloomed. My stomach acid could start a car, Elroy. Please, take it easy on those pills. Carpenter pleaded, but Binghamton didn't hear him. An idea was forming, a treacherous, beautiful, desperate idea. If I were sick, truly sick, I could appoint an acting base commander. Someone to take the heat. Someone for Rafferty to bark at. A slow, toothy smile spread across his face. McHale. We'll give him McHale. With that cutthroat in charge, they'll run wild and destroy themselves right in front of the Admiral. Chapter 2. The Acting Commander's Burden. Quinton McHale was a man born of salt water and tobacco smoke. His face was a map of the South Pacific, etched with the lines of 100 skirmishes and 1,000 jokes. When he was summoned to the base hospital, he expected many things, but finding Binghamton draped in a white sheet, moaning about unnamed tropical maladies, was near the top of the list. "Oh, McHale," Binghamton groaned, his voice reaching for a theatrical soprano. "The medics don't know how long I'll be in here. I'm appointing you the acting base commander. It's a supreme test of your leadership." McHale squinted. "Me? Captain, you must be kidding. I'm a saltwater skipper, not a desk jockey. Do I look like a man who's kidding?" Binghamton countered, his eyes squinting through a mask of fake agony. "And I'm appointing Parker here as your acting executive officer, Ensign Charles Parker, whose uniform always seemed to be fighting a losing battle with gravity, beamed. "Oh, boy, did you hear that, Skipper? Acting executive officer? Ta! Thanks, Captain. You'll never regret this." McHale sighed. He knew this was a trap. It was a poisoned chalice served with a side of tropical fruit, but as he stepped out of the infirmary, the glare of the sun hit him, and so did the sight of Nurse Catherine Wilson. She was walking toward the pharmacy, her gait steady, her expression one of quiet competence amidst the chaos of the base. Their eyes met for a fleeting second. In that look, McHale saw more than just a colleague. He saw a woman who understood the silence of the sea and the weight of the casualties they processed every day. If being acting base commander meant being near her. Perhaps he